today. Sunday morning. Plan is to head out and have a bit of an explore for some dhuies and hopefully show you some sounding techniques and things like that. We'll see how the weather holds out. It swells up a bit today, about 2 meters, and unpredictable easterlies. So as long as they stay, we should see water like this. Leaving from Rockingham, so probably head out about somewhere between, I don't know, 30 to 40 kilometres from John Ledge marker, that sort of general area, heading in about southwesterly direction, anywhere between 35 to 45 metres, and we'll see what we can find. See you out there. I can give you is if your sounder can't read well, you're doing a decent speed in semi-average weather, then I suggest you assess your install as a first priority, and if the install's not the problem, then I would suggest upgrading your system to be able to take this sort of speed and weather to read a solid bottom. And I say that because you don't want to waste so much time at slow speeds and wait for ideal days to find your marks. I think probably for me a minimum is 1 kilowatt transducer. Most units these days can handle a kilowatt, and yeah, you don't have to have all the gear, but I mean, before this Furuno, I used to run, believe it or not, a little HDS7 Lawrence for about 15 years, so you don't need all the gear, and trust me, there was a lot of fish caught on that sounder. Anyways, hope that helps you. See, I'm always looking on the sounder when I'm driving out, so I'm going to an area, like I said, 30 to 40 kilometres southwest of John Ledge marker. Basically just always keeping an eye out, looking for any sort of hints, like needles, anything at all. Turn it back around, have a quick look. I'm in make sure it's in no man's land, so barren wastelands. Any structure that you see on your GPS maps, I can guarantee you, has probably already been smashed. So try and avoid those sort of main map areas that you see. Like I said, there'll be 100 blokes there before you. Now, I thought I'd just highlight what I don't drop on. So you can see there I picked up something on the low frequency, and the high end there's a little snippet. Obviously if you turn it up you'll see the same. That to me looks like bait. There's no real fluff on the bottom, no coral, and also there's no rise, so you'll often see a rise, maybe a metre or two, which indicates that, you know, a bit of coral's there. On your sounders you can also tell by the bottom, like the colours and all that stuff. But I often look for a rise, and if there's a rise and a bit of fluff on top and you see that, it's worth turning around, but that's not worth turning around back on. So we'll carry on. Right, so here's a rise. You can see it's come up from 45 to about 44. And there's a bit of bait there, but still not seeing a lot on the surface. So here's the rise. Oh, so this is getting a bit more interesting. So this is what I'm looking for. That's when you know you're on some harder ground. Now, something I'll point out, there is a big swell today, which makes it bloody tough to distinguish bottom from stuff that's interesting. So yeah, that did catch my attention, but I'm still not 100% sold on dropping a line on that. But that's the sort of stuff that I'm looking for. I hope that helps people. It doesn't look like much, but trust me, it doesn't look like much to everybody else that comes out here either, and they don't drop on it, but the fish are there. Alright, so haven't really found much, but there's a spot out here that I always have a drop on this last 6 months, because I've had 2 hookups to a fish that is big, and both times it's let go about halfway up. I reckon it's at least 15, possibly a 20, you never know. 20 kilo that is, or at least close to it I think anyway. So I'll show you some of the ground that I go over. This is one of my favourite spots off Rockingham at the moment. Pretty consistent for Dhuis that are over 10 kilo. Most of them are around about 12 off here. I'm not saying I'll get one today because fish move and sometimes they don't bite, but I'll show you what the ground looks like on the sounder. Alright, so we're not on it yet, but you can see, like I was speaking about before, there's a bit of fluff, and you'll start to see the rises and a bit of fluff on top. We're not even on it yet, so give me a sec. Again, run high and low if you've got 2 transducers. Gives you a wider spread, a bit more visual. Alright, not on it yet either, approaching it. Funny thing is, I used to fish this spot over 10 years ago, well over 10 years ago. I haven't fished it in ages, and 6 months I came back and there's just been fish here, but it's a long time between, I guess, 10 years. Right, you can see there's a bit more fluff on top of those caps there, and you'll see it'll start to get it a little bit better in a second. Alright, this is the main bit of it, just coming up on the sounder now. And I get questions like, oh, if you don't see fish, do you have a drop? Of course. But if you look at that, that ground holds some really big fish, I promise you. I've caught many off this. And you don't see much on the sounder. Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. Alright, I'm just going to go back around on it again. Bear with me, just doing a zooey. So this piece of ground that I fish is only 50 metres across. It's quite a bit, one of the larger areas I fish, I guess. Now, I think most fishermen drive over this stuff and wouldn't even give it two thoughts. So you can see a few fish there. Looks like they're to the southwest of the main bit of it today. But that's all it is. And that's all you need to look for. Particularly in Metro. Stay away from all the big ledges and all that sort of stuff, because guarantee it, 100 blokes have been there before you and smashed it. And the only stuff that there is small, usually snapper, black ass or breaksea cod, all that sort of stuff. This is the stuff they don't go, and this is where you're going to find those big ones and sometimes schools of Dhu fish. Hope that helps. You'll see me, I'm just going to get ready and have a drift in a second. Alright, time to get ready. Alright, using my new rod. That southeasterly is a bit strong, so I think we're going to have a bit of a quick drift today. Got some Ockie. This one's a bit old, been sitting in the bottom of my freezer for a good year or so. You can see the Ockie's been skinned. Stops with ballooning of the skin. It's a bit pink because it's old. If anybody catches Ockie regularly, it saves me a job. I'll happily trade you some tips for a trip or two if you can supply me regularly. I just hate getting wet these days as I get older. So Vex bottom meat, not sure what colour, pink blue maybe. So 200 grams is what I start off with, and if the drift is a bit quick I'll move up to 200 grams. Use an Ocean jigger, 1500 HGF custom, coupled with a slow element Ocean's Legacy PE2. The line is PE1. That stuff is super thin, and I got an FG knot to 100 pound braid, 100 pound fluorocarbon leader. Now 100 pound seems like a lot, but the teeth on Dhu Fish are quite raspy, and they can wear through, especially on these lighter gear where you've got a longer fight. So yeah, don't chance it. I mean, Dhus aren't picky. They're pretty dumb fish really. Alright, so we'll go back around on this mark I just showed you and see what we can pull up. Actually, screw it, we'll just have a drop on that. Why not?
Here I'm going to throw the bait back of the boat where we came from on the drift.
So no idea. No idea. What's the drift speed? About just over 1 knot. So these AF Customs, they got this lever that you can manage the drop speed on, which is pretty handy. I got this reel from Japan. Alright, so it's okay if you don't get a hit straight away. Like I said in my other videos, you can just drift for a while sometimes, have a hook up in no man's land, and there's nothing on the sounder. Alright, going through there's a bit of fluff here. So that looks quite interesting, so I'll mark that for a better look. Now when fishing with Vex bottom meats, you'll see me bottom check. I'll lift it up a foot or so off the bottom, so it's just sitting off the bottom. And then every now and again I'll give it a flick up like that. And what I think happens with Dhu Fish will come up behind it, have a bit of interest, but they won't actually attack it. Once it lifts off the bottom, you'll find that they'll follow it up, and then as you drop down, they'll smack it. You don't need to jig, you don't need to do any of that stuff. Just lift and drop. Bottom check, make sure you're not on the bottom, because sometimes you can lift off. And then the trick with these is not to strike straight away as well. So let the Dhu Fish actually swallow it, so you can get those circle hooks that are at the top of the in their mouth. Alright, just had a few little nibbles then, but they were small fish, nothing big, but where there's small fish, there's big fish too. Alright, get them excited. Alright, you see the rod tip, it's just small stuff coming up and biting the back of the ockie. So you can have a look at that ground now, it's really thickened up, but not a lot on it. But that's okay, we just drift. I haven't fished here before, this is all new ground. It's off the main mark because I was drifting when I was setting up and the ground started to look a bit interesting, so I've decided to have a drop. Alright, wind it up a few winds, let it drop back down, get the fish excited. No, there's nothing there, and that's okay. Still early, it's not even 8 o'clock yet. Alright, I'll bring up, and we'll go to the main bit. Alright, now you'll see here, it's ballooned with the skinners, like I said. Cut that stuff out, it's not what you want. Alright, we'll go around again. Alright, so this is where we're fishing. Now I've got my drift line, you can see it's going from east, which I'd expect is with the wind. We'll try and line it up and get ahead of it so we drift over it. Now, take the inertia out of the boat, chuck it in reverse, twist it around, you'll see the engine's twisted, and that's how you line up a good drift. Oh, that was interesting. You get hits, but they're not big. A little tap tap of ruse. Again, lift up and drop down, and there you go. Oh, that was a hit. I'm not sure if it was a Dewey though. Get him excited. Have something having a crack. You got to remember the drift is pretty quick today, so you've got to give them plenty of time. Oh, that was bottom. That was bottom. Oop. Up and down. Bottom check. As you drift, the bait starts to lift. Alright, we're on bottom. Wind it up a metre, foot to a metre. Now, if this was a mark that I didn't know had fish, I would have gone by now. Well, there's your problem. I don't know any vegetarian Dhu fish. So rebait.
You'll see here how I just clip the tail off the octopus, as this little thin bit can wrap around your leader or line sometimes and cause you problems.
Alright, small bites again. Oh, that's good. Oh, there he is. Come up and you smack me again. Feels like a small dewey. Could have been wrong. Very small, whatever it is. Black ass. That's baby Jew. Right. Gonna swim in for a bit. Always vent them. I think it makes a difference. And off he goes. We're not on the main bit of it. I found the bit of interesting ground. It's not far off it, so thought I'd give it a crack. Ooh, shit, that was a fish. That was a fish. That's Dewey's for sure. Chase them for a bit. There we go, that's a Dewey. Only small though. Oh no, pinky. Stinky pinky. Alright, I'll show you this new bit of ground I found. So, it's not far off the main bit, but you'll see it comes up. Very sexy ground, this one. It's not very big, probably 30 meters, 20 meters across. Just spinning the boat around. big bada boom. Oh. Alright, I've moved on from that spot. No big boy bit today. Disappointing. Alright, so had a couple of drops on some other stuff. But this is another spot. See, it comes up again, the rise. That's what you want to look for. And I've caught fish off here before, so we'll see if we can do it again. Look at that. How gorgeous is that? So that's the rise. Nice rough bottom. You have to excuse the swell. It's about 2 metre swell today. Oh, straight away. Oh, getting chased. Getting chased. Oh, it's on. There we go. It's only small. It's a Dewey for sure. Just a baby one. How good was that? Chasing me up. Must have hooked him about freaking 5 meters up. Just taking my time. Don't want him to suffer from barra trauma. Colour. What do we got here? Chewy. Probably about 50. 5, let's say, centimeters, but it should go straight down. Alright, so definitely a school of Jews there, and they're not very big though, but where there's small ones, there's generally bigger ones. The problem is they're all feeding and hungry, and nothing's getting through them. Look at those fish come right up here. See him? That's Dhu Fish. Nice little school of them. Fighting this freaking wind, I can tell you. Oh, it's gone backwards. Alright. So hopefully we can get a bigger one, eh? Give this rod a nice little test. Alright, so I know when I get to the dark blue, that's where we'll be near the bottom, so slow the drift up. There we go, we're on bottom. Straight away, freaking Dewey. That's the bigger model. That's the one we want. That's the one we want. You didn't even know he was hooked for a bit there. Not massive, but he'll do. That's a better dewey. Probably 7 kilo, I'd say. Now this is why I use Occy, because what does that look like? Hey? I didn't use that for bait yet. Maybe I have to use my old spiker. So you spike just behind the eye, 45 degree. And until they brain the mush, see the colour go in them. Right. Then I bleed them. Now, for a bit of a laugh, in my opinion, I think this is the probably Dhu Fish's #1 diet for these eels. So for a bit of a laugh, chuck this on the bait. See what happens. Those Dhu fish are quieting down a bit. Probably taking a few off them as it helps. But they're still there. We've just gone lay low.
So here we go with a bit of eel on our Vex bottom meat, something different.
Oh, missed it. Missed the main bit of it. The drift is changing, I think. Probably give one of these Vex juice lows a crack. Ooh, that was a hit. That's another hit. And he's on. Ooh, that's a big one. Bigger tail wax. See the thrusts? That's when you know they're bigger.
Something I want to point out with this lighter gear is the fish is just trying to shake the hook out. It's not really fighting at this stage. Now this presents great opportunities for you to get the fish off the bottom well before it realises it's properly hooked and wants to fight.
Still not big runs though, probably similar size. nice run.
So just supporting what I was mentioning before, this fish is now 20-30 metres off the bottom and it's wanting to fight. Now this is way too high for it to snag you up on any reef or structure down there, losing the fish.
Alright, there's colour. Oh, that's a better Dewey. That's a much better Dewey. Now, didn't expect that to come up. Oh, I reckon he's at least, I reckon he's 15, maybe more. Oh, look at the eel in its gob. Hey, there's a 15er. Time to go home, I think. And so how is that? A freaking eel and eel. Eel for bait. Oh, that's the boy. We have the girl and the boy. Alright, now I've got to try and get a photo of this thing. Now, I've only got 3% battery left, but I'll try and show you this eel. Like I said, I think this is the prominent food source, particularly for Dhufish around the metro area and up Savannah's way. Oh. Alright. Look at this. This is why I use big baits. It's proving to be a little bit more difficult than I thought.
Okay, I switched over to my iPhone as my GoPro just ran out of battery.
It's a cobbler.
Oh. So I want to point out here what I think's actually happened. You see the top half of this cobbler? It's been digested and in its stomach, and then the tail has been hanging out of the Dhufish's mouth. Now when I've hooked up to this fish, it's probably choked on it and hasn't fought as well as it could have. Now this must have been a pig of a fish for it to go for another eel on top of this cobbler that was already choking on. That's about a 40 to 50 centimetre cobbler. I'm not sure if the camera grip does it justice. Now I didn't realise at the time, but if you ever zoom in on the photo, you'll see the cobbler tail sticking out right there.
Alright, I put a little bit of more charge back in my phone. So, sorry about the short day of exploring. It's only pretty much done and dust by 9:30. But what I will show you is my Esky's a bit small when you get these big ones. It's a meatery for sure. 15 kilo at least, I'd say. And the girls he's down there with, probably about 7. But so how you notice the water's not bloody? It's because that's why I have this bleeding bucket. You spike them, bleed them, wash them in the ocean, and then you slurry them, and it keeps your ice nice and clean. By the time we get back, we'll be nice and solid. I use these these have got salt water in them, and when you freeze these down, they actually help the slurry stay really cold. because you want it to get below freezing if you can. And these, by the time I get back, this will have all ice stuck on it because they're that cold. That's how I take care of my fish as well. What I'll do is I'll run back over that mark so you can show the ground that we're on, where this buoy came from. And yeah, hopefully it can help you in future. Pack up time. Actually, I'll probably show you. So this is why I use 100 pound. You can see all the rasps along there. Particularly if you're using lighter gear, you're fighting a fish for a little while. So you want to make sure that that leader holds up to the occasion. Last thing you want to do is lose a fish of a lifetime. Alright, hopefully my battery doesn't die, but I want to show you where we've got this 15, I'll wait when I get back, but I'm estimating it's around 15. It's a metering, so I know a lot of people struggle to find the big ones. So pretty much caught it in this area. We gave it a few drifts because there was a school there. And you'll start to see it and what it looks like. Not quite on it. Sorry, this weather's a bit average. So it's Struggle Town. Where that little fish icon is where I've caught it. Around there anyway. And you'll see it here. Ignore the low frequency because it's struggling with the air bubbles and going back over myself. But you can see it comes up a bit of fluff on top. That's all you need really. And this is in the middle of bum nowhere. And everybody drive over this and wouldn't even give it 2 minutes of their time. So just remember, don't fish the map contours. Fish no man's land and you'll find the big boys. Well, sorry I couldn't really give you more video today. Battery's running a bit low on the old GoPro anyway. But I hope you found some of these tips today really useful. What to look for. I think the biggest tip today really is about, well, 2 tips. First, fish where there's no real GPS map, contours or anything that's of significance. And showed you some of those rises and what to look for there. But also, don't be afraid to experiment. Like, I truly believe those eels are a prominent diet for the Dhufish. Chucking it on, you saw the result firsthand. So, also that cobbler that came out of the mouth of that fish, was enormous. So don't be afraid of using massive baits. Those things will monster the biggest baits you can find. Anyways, have a great one. Getting the wings off, bit of a trick to it. So you'll see in the gills, this is pretty much for all fish. There's 2 bones, and there's a bone here, and then there's a bone down here. So this bone, that you'll see it move a bit. You want to slice under that. Get forward of it, like that. Now also run your knife along the gills. Into the there. Now that bone has come away, so what you can do is slice along the rib cage into the stomach cavity, and that will literally tear apart on this side of the fish. And then to get the other side, do exactly the same under that
bone or plate. Run your knife along gills to the front. Get in behind that bone along the rib cage. Coming away. Alright. That's it. And you can slice through, pull it away from its stomach, and then slice through there, and then there's your wings. On the barbecue. There you go, excellent. What you can also do is this air bladder. I'll cut it out and I'll show you. I'm not sure how well known this is, but this is fish pork crackle.
Now I do have a video coming out on how to cook a fish air bladder. If you're not a subscriber, please subscribe and don't forget to click the bell to be notified of when these videos are coming out in the future.
We rinse this off, flatten it out, salt it, let it dry out in the fridge, and then put it in the air fryer or in the grill. It's pretty much the same as pork crackle, believe it or not. Now this is the stomach. We already pulled out that cobbler today. I don't think there's much left in it. What I generally do now is for these larger specimens, I keep the jaws and I frame them. So I'll make a stock out of the head. Alright, skinning. Try and get you one of these knives. Dexter's do some they're pretty good knives. It'll help you get these larger fillets, but start at the back and then angling the knife towards the skin a bit, not too much, otherwise you'll cut through it, and then wriggle the fillet and it'll come straight off. Like that. And then there's bones, we clean them up. Take out in the rib cage the bones. That's it.